Hello Aquarius, this is Ashley. This is going to be a bonus reading. We're going to look at what's coming in for you during the Mercury Retrograde. Now I am recommending that you watch your rising sign first. You may find messages for your sun sign as well. But I'm going to kind of be catering the reading to the house that is in your chart. And if you are a rising sign Aquarius, this Mercury retrograde is taking place in the sign of Libra, which is your 9th house. So you can go ahead and check your sun, your moon, and your Venus placements. But be sure to watch your rising sign reading, as I think you'll find the most literal events come through in that reading. We're going to look at pre-shadow during the retrograde and then post-shadow energies that might be coming up for you. And we're going to try and narrow down the situations that may be arising during those times. And I'll talk about those time periods. Now, one of the things that you might notice is that the pre-shadow period is what resonates. The rest may not yet because that's in the future. So pre-shadow, at the time that I'm filming this, that is where we are right now. What else? Definitely let me know down below in the comments if you feel like this is your reading, or if it resonates. Please like and subscribe. And if it is not your reading, like I said, go check out your rising sign. You can figure out what your rising sign is by using any of the free websites to create your natal chart. I am basing this off of whole sign housing, just so you know. So let's look at Aquarius for the retrograde. Okay. So we have the Four of Cups, the Five of Wands, and the Three of Cups, the Devil, the Two of Wands, and the Two of Swords, the Nine of Pentacles, the Tower, and the Chariot. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Nine of Swords, so quite a bit of mental activity going on here. Now, you are an air sign, and Mercury is our thoughts, right? And he is retrograding in the sign of Libra, another air sign. So there's going to be a heightened mental activity associated with this retrograde. Now, when it comes to the sign of Libra, that's going to be how we relate to others. So whether that's balanced or imbalanced, fair or unfair, right? With Libra being the sign of the scales. It's relationships that can be romantic, friendships, acquaintances, work, all relationships, right? Now for you, if you are an Aquarius rising, this is happening in your 9th house. So that is the house of beliefs, whether that's religion, spirituality. It's also related to world travel. It can also be associated with, just our bigger picture view of things, as well as was I going to say? Oh, higher education. So you may even be dabbling in learning at this time of the retrograde, or kind of looking into higher education, perhaps taking some webinars, some higher level courses at a university, online courses. It could be a number of different things. You know, a house is the part of our life that's impacted, like what is impacted. So some of that may be coming through. But looking at this so far, I feel like what's probably going to come through in this reading is more your belief system is getting a bit of an overhaul. So when it comes to Mercury, in the pre-shadow, he enters the degrees of Libra that he's going to travel and come back to during the retrograde, and then he moves forward again. So there's 3 separate passes that take place during those degree signs. So he's actually going from about 10 degrees to 25 degrees, and then he's going to go back to 10 and then forward again and past 25 before we're completely out of that shadow zone. So let's dive in here. This is pre-shadow row, and that is happening September 6th through the 27th. And we have opening to discovery. Now, it's kind of interesting because this card is actually talking about, you can see how like there's this keyhole and there's a key sitting down here, and all these stars are entering into this keyhole. And what this card talks about is the information that we allow in, that we're picking up on. So if, for example, you're watching a whole lot of negative stuff on the news, you're bringing in and processing as much of that information as your brain will allow, and it's going into your psyche. And so what this card really talks about is being careful about what you're open to, right? And with this 4 of Cups, the Devil, and the 9 of Pentacles, it could very well be that you are bringing in perhaps a lot of toxic information. It could even be happening with you could be getting that toxic information from anywhere. Like I said, if you watch like a ton of negative stuff, whether it's the news, really dark movies, it can even be like the music you listen to, something about the information that you bring in and process is impacting you. And it could be that during this pre-shadow period of time that is something that you're starting to notice, or perhaps that you aren't noticing just yet but will be coming up for you throughout the rest of this reading here or the retrograde period itself. And it could be impacting your beliefs. That's 9th house. So you have to pay attention to the information that you're consuming, because it's going to have an impact on your own independent being, right? So let's see what other info we can get with this. Especially with that 9 of Swords at the bottom of the deck, you could just be kind of over-stimulating yourself with too much stuff that's stressing you out. What's coming up here? Okay, with the 4 of Cups, we have the World and the Six of Swords. With the Devil, we have the Devil. So definitely something toxic, right? And the Four of Pentacles. With the Nine of Pentacles, we have the Two of Cups. And the Three of Cups. Okay. So, when I said like the news, this could also be, with the World card showing up there, it could be that you're getting a lot of information from the World Wide Web. Too much time on the internet, social media, the news, international news. It could be just the state of the world right now. At the time of this Mercury retrograde, there's a lot of not so positive things happening in the world. Excuse me. And it could be having an impact on your psyche in a negative way. Your belief systems. It could very well be that some of this emotionally dissatisfying information that's coming in has you kind of holding on to kind of a negative viewpoint. Now, one thing I want to mention here is that now it could very well be that there's upsetting things on the news, right? And it could actually be factual. But I think it's more, we're talking about here the health of the psyche. And so when we go overboard, when we do too much of it, it becomes like an addiction that we got to hold on to. It's like something that's being fed at this point. Because you're like bound to it. Now, with this Nine of Pentacles, Two of Cups, Three of Cups here, you could be looking to have a reunion with a soulmate here. Could also be that you are dating online and you're maybe dabbling in a little bit of toxic energy that you're maybe not aware of at the time. It could be just in speaking with some of these online people that you're, you know, opening yourself up to dating, that that's introducing some toxicity. Another thing to keep in mind is that as we absorb, and I'm focusing on the negative here because of the cards that came out. Now, obviously, not all of the information that we absorb is negative. So I'm just pointing that out here, that we have the Devil showing up twice here. There's something toxic associated with this. And seeing what's coming up in the future, that's the focus of this reading. So, just so you know. But what I was saying here is that as we kind of get into that negative, and we're holding on to that negative information, it's impacting our psyche, then that is, you know, those are the beliefs we speak as well. And so it's like we get into this feedback loop, right? So I do feel like with this Six of Swords, I want to see what's going on with that. You could have had an ending here that took place that you have moved on from. And it could have been with a soulmate. You've got quite a few things coming through here just on this first row. Because it was toxic. It was full of conflict. It was emotionally dissatisfying. And you decided to bring that to an end. Get one more here. And this Nine of Pentacles. We have the King of Pentacles. That's Taurus energy. Could have been a long-term relationship that came to an end here. But I think what you're going to find when it comes to those two kind of melding together is that perhaps this information overload that was happening in a negative way may have contributed to these situations where you're now single and have moved away from this relationship. There was conflict here, but the devil showing up here twice with this Four of Pentacles, we're holding on to something toxic, and you may or may not be aware of it at this time. Let's see what's coming in next. I kind of feel like this is going to be a little bit of a rough Mercury retrograde for those that this is resonating for. Excuse me. You can probably hear the garbage truck going by right now, so I apologize. In the retrograde period, so that's September 27th to October 18th, we have the beautiful uncaging. And so what this talks about is taking responsibility, taking accountability, kind of opening up to the potential that we can have a transformation, we can have an opening of the heart when we accept accountability, when we accept responsibility, but also when we let go of the guilt associated with the potential that we might have contributed to something negative for ourselves. Now we have the Five of Wands showing up again here. Two of Wands and the Tower. For some of you, this is like some sort of conflict that you chose. And part of that accountability that I was talking about there is kind of in recognizing that you may have caused your own tower moment based on your own negative thought processes. That may not apply to all of you. This can also be choosing to get away from conflict by dropping kind of a bomb, a truth bomb is kind of what I'm seeing as well. So let's see here. If you are dealing with a specific love situation, which could be possible because we do have the Two of Cups coming in here, not to mention the lovers that are bound in that Devil card, we have all the fixed signs, so Scorpio, Aquarius, Leo, and Taurus. We have strong Capricorn and Taurus, Scorpio, and Cancer showing up so far. For those of you that are interested, it doesn't have to be those signs, but that is what is coming through. Why do we have the Five of Wands? Justice. So some sort of karmic truth. Two of Pentacles. Two of Wands. We have the High Priestess. Could be dealing with a Pisces. And the Three of Pentacles. For the Tower, we have the Seven of Wands and the Two of Wands. Okay, let's see what we're getting here so far. I feel like there's some resistance, obviously, when we can be faced with responsibility, accountability, you know, really opening to the possibility that we caused a conflict or contributed to it, at least in equal measure, that can be difficult, right? We don't like to admit sometimes that we are our own worst enemy. That's not easy for anyone, but it's really interesting. I keep seeing this. It's almost like seeing this face on this heart. Interesting. I keep getting drawn to that. I wonder how that's going to come through. It's almost like it feels like a forgiveness energy. Like a nurturing, loving forgiveness coming through there. Interesting. Anyway, sorry. So that's difficult for us to kind of admit to ourselves, or for sure to other people. But I think there's something hidden here. Something hidden. You could be, like I said, you could be dealing Libra, Pisces, showing up on top of the other signs I've already mentioned. I feel like you could have decided to work on something with someone and you're hiding that info from yourself. Like you may have convinced yourself that it was horrible, terrible, toxic, impossible, you know, whatever. And I think in some way you may be fooling yourself. It could also be that there's some blame game going on here between you and this person, this soulmate, where they feel like it could have been worked on and it was like a refusal on your part, or vice versa. At this juncture, though, I do feel like somebody is avoiding letting it fall apart. Because I already feel like it's ended, but somebody here is resisting the possibility that it's going to completely just shatter to the ground. So Two of Wands, Two of Wands. I think there's a shock coming in here as well, and it could be surprising to you or to this person to learn that they weren't doing the work or you weren't doing the work. So there's some kind of accountability that is being, it's like you're being urged to take accountability and responsibility for something here during the retrograde period. And I feel like it's not coming through super clear because of this like resistance energy. I can even feel like resistance in you listening to this reading. But there's some sort of karmic balance that needs to be struck here. And I'm just going to be brutally honest and say that nobody's going to avoid that. That's not avoidable. We can resist until our legs fall off, but it's going to happen. And so I feel like what this is really asking is for you to kind of get into that more heart-centered energy, and whether they did something wrong or you did or whatever, both did. The transformation comes in, you know, releasing the guilt, having some compassion for both parties, having some love for what you didn't know at the time and what you know now. Like you didn't know it then. And so, you know, kind of opening up that heart space and accepting things as they are and how you see it now. How you may have been taking in a little bit too much negative in the mind space and it contributed to the problem. Or that there was somehow a holding on to a toxic situation or belief system that caused a lot of problems. I mean, it's toxic because it's toxic. It's not going to be a positive thing, right? So, interesting. Kind of difficult energy there to really pick up on what that thing might be. You'll have to discern that for yourself. Okay, in the outcome, post shadow period. So this is from October 18th through November 2nd. So this is once Mercury goes direct. So it's making his third pass across that same area in Libra in your 9th house. And something, it's like, okay, here's what I'm saying. It's like you turn this key on this heart energy, this beautiful uncaging. It's like releasing the guilt associated with something, taking responsibility and letting go of the guilt or the regret as a result of it. And then boom, your heart is like broken open. You can see it's a big focus here. It's like it shatters, which of course is not comfortable, but once it's broken open, there's like a freedom in that. It's like more empathy, more compassion, more love, more forgiveness, you know, all things heart based. We do have the Three of Cups, the Two of Swords, and the Chariot. Could be that there is still the potential for reunion here. It's in the same row. We have the Three of Cups here with that Two of Cups energy. Deciding to work on this, right? And then we get to the Three of Cups again. We do have the Two of Swords here, so there's still something that perhaps is not being seen. And I do feel like that's going to change during the post-shadow period, because we also had the Chariot, so it's like movement, victory. So the outcome, or rather the post-shadow third pass here, so this is really where you pick up on those final details of whatever Mercury was trying to teach you, right? Now the fun part, and what I really pick up on this pre-shadow energy, that, you know, like toxic negative information you're bringing in, that can be really part of that trickster energy that Mercury can bring in. You know, when we talk about Mercury retrograde, everybody's like, oh no, what's going to happen because of that trickster energy? And that's what feels like might be happening right now in that pre-shadow. The Three of Cups, you have the Four of Cups, and the Ace of Wands. With the Two of Swords, we have the Ace of Swords, so there's that truth that somebody's going to see. And the Temperance. With the Chariot, we have the Nine of Cups and the King of Cups. So I think the victory and the true dream come true, the satisfaction here, comes when you get more into that heart space like we've been talking about. And that's where that real victory comes in. This reunion energy that I was talking about here, we have the Ace of Wands, so I think the potential is there. But somebody here doesn't seem too thrilled about the idea, and may not want it anymore or at this point. Because I still feel like there's healing to be had whenever this truth comes in. It's like when you finally have this boom moment of clarity, there needs to be some healing as a result of that. Yeah, somebody's making an offer of an apology here. It could be you, it could be the person. But it kind of almost feels like maybe it's too late. But when I say that, I think really the ultimate victory here is in having seen and healed from this truth, this heart awareness that comes in. And perhaps that's just associated with having taken true responsibility for the part you played. Not just the part your brain is telling you that you played, right? The actual reality of it all. Because this devil energy is tricky. It likes to bring you in and tell you lies, right? With that Ace of Swords, we're getting the Ten of Pentacles. You know, I kind of see it both ways here. I see it as like perhaps this apology, this offer of love, this new beginning is too late for some of you. For others, it could very well be that you come forward and tell the truth about what really happened in this dynamic. And you take responsibility. You offer forgiveness. You receive forgiveness. You know, all the things that are associated with the heart. And that allows you to heal this situation. You may have had a full-blown family with this person in the past. We have Cancer, Scorpio, Sagittarius showing up here in this last row. But there's definitely heart growth happening here. It's like you go from mind to that, all that information that you're bringing in into the heart space. And that's definitely, you know, a focus of your belief systems, right? You know, your beliefs may have been purely logic beforehand, and then after this retrograde, you've integrated that heart more. Interesting reading, intense reading there, Aquarius. I hope it was helpful. Remember to come back to it at a later date as we get further into the retrograde itself and then the post-shadow period. And I hope you find that it helps to guide you during those times. I will see you in the next one. Bye.